Again, the proposed codes would bring the use of technology in its enforcement. Of course, yes. I think people talk about 4.0 now. I think we have to necessarily leverage on technology, and I would say definitely at least in ESI and in PF, I think they have made a vast advancement in terms of technology. They have leveraged on this. If I have to quote some example, maybe specific to ESI, definitely you must be aware that earlier we had that return in Form 6, subsequently changed as Form 5, maybe after the end of each contribution period. Each employer had to submit this Form 6 within 42 days after the end of each contribution period. You must be aware how much time this would take to prepare and what was the importance, and how almost one complete team will be working on it. Right. Even today, that provision for submission of that return is there in the statute books, but it has almost become redundant because of the technology. Right. So we need not spend time on it. If the people, employees, are otherwise properly registered under ESI, I think automatically that return will be generated and it will be submitted. So that is the advantage of technology. Again, same is the case with respect to PF. Right. Earlier, again, if I have to know my balance in my PF account, then I have to wait for the end of the financial year, then for the generation of the form called Form 23. Only after receiving this, I'll be knowing that what amount remains in my account. But today, it has just become a bank account like item, right? So if I want to know my balance today, yes, I can do this. So that is the advantage of technology. Necessarily, we have to adapt it. And the codes would impart flexibility in dynamic factors. When I say dynamic factors, again, typical example, I can quote from factory side, the working hours, right? Or the working hours or weekly holidays, something like that. These are all dynamic factors. So it's a central legislation, the factory side. So whatever is available in the act, that will be applicable across the country. But the idea now is through these codes, in fact, flexibility is brought in, which means the powers are given to the appropriate governments to fix the working hours for their respective areas. So this may change from one state to another state, but the idea is to bring in flexibility and dynamic. More, it is a sort of cooperative federalism. And these codes would bring the transparency and accountability. Sure, because again, the inspection itself is going to be based on the technology now. I think now the LIN number will be the base through which the inspections will be done, and some accountability is brought in, because once the inspection is done, then I think the inspectors are expected to submit the report within 72 hours, 3 days. So this will bring in some sort of transparency and accountability. Again, that is the idea. Then the facilitation for ease of compliance for labelers will promote in setting up of more enterprises. Yes, once this is done, of course, we are not just talking about labor domain. I think the easiness has to come from all other areas also. But of course, our area is again labor laws. If this is done, easiness is brought, then definitely there is a chance, possibility to have increased number in the number of enterprises, which subsequently will increase the number of employment opportunities. The number of employees will also go up. That is the idea again. Then enhanced penalty. I think some of the employers now have a feeling that it is drastically increased, but of course we generally have the instead of having the compliance mode, in fact we tend to resort to maybe the managing mode, right? We don't actually comply, we just manage things. So what I could presume is this is one way with which the employees could be made to go ahead with the compliance rather than compromising on the compliance. And of course, the compounding of offense is also now possible. So instead of going through the entire judicial process, maybe the authorities are now empowered for doing this compounding of offenses, so that the amount, if the offender, if he accepts, then he can just pay the amount and go off. Of course, this may not be available, this facility may not be available all the times. It will be there only for the first time.